2023 was a banger of a year for games released. It's honestly mad what came out. It felt like a waterfall of games were crashing down upon us throughout the whole year. And what better way to celebrate 2023 than to talk about the games that hooked us in and delivered our favourite experiences of the year. So, without further ado, sit back and relax as my friends and I chat about the games that made us warm and tingly inside. Let us tell you our games of the year. So I'll kick things off with Octopath Traveller 2. My god, this was a game. It's the perfect sequel to the original, and what I mean by that is it's an improvement in every way. Any issue I had with the first game is no longer present in this follow-up. Its storytelling had vastly improved, delivering more compelling and engaging narratives, and has some of the best story moments in games I've played in general. Casti's later chapters hit me super hard to the point of near freaking tears. The optimism of Particio and his outlook on life just being so refreshing and endearing, and Temenos with his interactions are just pure gold. I could go on and on about each character and just how invested I became with them. But one of my favourite things is seeing the cast of 8 just interact a lot more and even have designated chapters between two to help further their bonds and have relevant story together. Everything comes across more cohesive than the first game. It's just such a massive improvement. And it doesn't stop there. The gameplay is top notch and quite frankly one of the best turn-based RPGs out there you can play. I'm so glad they changed up the hunter's ability with catching monsters. Now you keep whatever monster you want until you catch one you prefer, unlike the first game where you go only using them a handful of times. It's such a simple thing but makes the game all the better. Also, being able to unlock new classes like the Inventor is really bloody cool. It exists beyond the main classes that the 8 start off with, so just stumbling upon a new class that wasn't expected is such a neat touch. This game looks sensational, and I don't think anyone would argue otherwise, but man, the level design is so good. Like when you're looking around for treasure that's hidden, it never feels unfairly out of view, and the locations are just stunning to explore. I really dig the out of focus look that occurs with the background or foreground. That's an aesthetic I just love. It's like a kink for gaming that I have now because of Octopath Traveller. And the music, quite frankly, just blows my mind. It's so bloody good. And if you take anything from my ramblings, go listen to the soundtrack of this game. It's something else. Also, the voice acting hits so hard. And for those that don't know, I fucking adore acting of any kind. And Jas Patrick as Particio, Eric Mendez as Trone, Stephen Fu as Crick, and Jordan Dash Cruz as Temenos were the standouts with their performance, but each actor blew it out of the water. They're all so talented. I'm so jealous. This game was the standout of the year for me. Nothing came close to it in the year, and that's amazing to me when there's been some incredible games that released in 2023. And just to prove my point, on to my first buddy to talk about their game of 2023.
I love it when a classic story is retold in a new and interesting way, and only if it's done well. Ravenlok takes the story of Alice in Wonderland and creates a familiar yet alien world called Dunia. Released in 2023 on Xbox and PC, we play as the titular character and ultimately have to defeat the evil queen who has a hold on the world and all the creatures in it. We fight with a sword and shield, upgrade our stats, learn new abilities, solve puzzles, find collectibles, and fight bosses. So this game has plenty to keep you busy. The combat difficulty can be tweaked, so you can have an easy time enjoying the story, or you can make it harder to give you more of a challenge. The characters are inspired by Alice in Wonderland, but are used in a different way. such as the Dormouse being a chef with a love for cooking with strange ingredients. Or Tweedledee and Tweedledum depicted as the Tweedle twins, who are fighting over who can make the best costumes for a play they're putting on. The famous tea party isn't held by the Mad Hatter, but instead by Toppy, who is having a meltdown due to the Queen's curse making all the food giant. If you know the story of Alice in Wonderland, you might think this isn't the game for you, but different twists the game puts on the story is enough to make it feel like a whole new adventure.
Hey guys, UpperNimbus here. So Pat from Frames, thank you so much for including me in this collaboration of yours talking about our favourite games from 2023. My choice is actually the DLC from Xenoblade Chronicles 3, Future Redeemed. Now you may be wondering why I've chosen DLC rather than an actual full game. Well, that's because I felt that Future Redeemed was in fact a full game in itself. I mean, sure, the story of Future Redeemed is somewhere between 10 to 20 hours I think, but the replayability and trying to 100% complete the DLC does take up to somewhere around 50 hours, and that's pretty impressive considering this is just DLC alone. But why is it that Future Redeemed is something that I believe was my favorite choice of 2023? Well, that's because I absolutely love the Xenoblade Chronicles games. They are one of my favorites of all time. Now, in all honesty, Future Redeemed is utterly fantastic and amazing. I cannot believe the emotional resonance that I felt with this game. It truly wrapped up the entire saga and trilogy of Xenoblade Chronicles. The majority of the unanswered questions in the base game of Xenoblade Chronicles 3 were in fact answered with the DLC of Future Redeemed, and we got more insight into the past of Ionios and what actually happened before the events of the main game. Now don't worry, I'm not going to talk about the story spoilers, but I do want to say that I was very satisfied with the ending of Future Redeemed. I could not believe, like I mentioned, the emotional feeling I felt towards this DLC. It is very important and very crucial to the entire plotline of Xenoblade Chronicles. You definitely have to play these games in order of release. Absolutely, that is the best way to play the Xenoblade Chronicles games. And Future Redeemed really is that pinnacle point of the franchise, the culmination of everything. And that is why Xenoblade Chronicles 3 Future Redeemed DLC was my game of choice and favorite game of 2023. Pat from Frames, thank you so much once again for having me on this collaboration. I had so much fun putting this together and I look forward to our future endeavors. So until the next time everybody, UpperNimbus is signing off.
There's nothing quite like losing yourself in an immersive, lengthy and malleable role-playing adventure, at least for me. Baldur's Gate 3's arrival on PlayStation 5 offered such an experience, making full use of the current hardware to deliver perhaps my favourite RPG since Witcher 3. The storytelling is fantastic, making excellent use of the Mind Flayer infection to bring together a crew of disparate Dungeons & Dragons archetypes, from a suave vampire to a Githyanki warrior. And whether you play as an origin hero or custom character, the story unfolds in a myriad of directions shaped by morally ambiguous decisions. It's also a technical marvel, boasting fantastic detail, incredible facial animations, and an often smooth performance. The sound side is also fantastic, with expert writing and stellar voice work bringing characters to life. Playing Baldur's Gate 3 is just as fun as experiencing the story. The turn-based battle system is deep, entrenching its rules in the recent edition of D&D to offer incredible experimentation, whether it's sneak attacks, explosive magic, or debilitating your foes with negative buffs. While battles with a lot of foes can feel a touch long-winded, it's still superb fun. With a gigantic and colourful world, tons of quests to seek out, and multiple endings based on your choices and even your class, it's one which can suck up so much of your time. And this doesn't even factor in 2-player split-screen co-op and 4-player online co-op for the entirety of the game. That's right, a Western RPG with full 4-player co-op. All these aspects come together to form a juggernaut of a game, and my pick for 2023 Game of the Year.
Hey everyone, what up? MadKaiser here, and thanks to the amazing Pat from Frames for allowing me to be in this collab. It was an absolute pleasure, and with that, let's just get the ball rolling and talk about a game that I really loved in 2023. And one that comes into mind is none other than Fate Samurai Remnant. Now this game in particular was a massive surprise, being of course the newest entry in the very long running Fate series. This one sets itself to be very ambitious by not only being just a great new entry for newcomers, but as well as pleasing the classic veteran Fate fans with having its own unique spin of the Fate formula, as well as having a brand new setting with mostly an original cast of characters, as well as some returning faces in particular. Now in this game set in Edo, Japan, you take on the role as Miyamoto Iori, and soon he's later paired up with his own very own Saber, and together they have to work together to survive the clashes against the other servants and masters to win the Waxing Moon Ritual, which is basically this version's take of the Holy Grail War. But not only that, but he also gets accommodated by also encountering rogue servants who are also have no ties to any master, but some of them become allies to him, and some of them are also from other Fate titles. This game itself really has a fantastic story with a very well written cast of characters, and the dynamic between, like say, Iori and Saber was just absolutely wonderful, with Saber themselves being absolutely wholesome. Not only that, but the combat itself was really fantastic, especially coming something from a Megaforce, where it takes more of an RPG action approach instead of the traditional Musos they've been accustomed for. This one having been able to switch stances with Iori, using different types of play styles depending on certain situations, as well as also having more challenging bosses and enemies the more you come through, with having lots of RPG elements, exploration, as well as some funny mini-games, as well as even some amazing boss battles, and just overall very nice, pleasing aesthetic setting. Fate Samurai Remnant will leave you satisfied, especially given the fact that this game has multiple routes and endings, and currently there's also a free update and upcoming DLC coming next year. Overall, if you are a Fate fan, then this title is definitely worth for you, and if you want to get into the Fate series, then by all means try this one out. Anyway, without further ado, thank you from Pat for Frames for having me here, and until then, MadKaiser out.
Today, I have been invited to a collaboration from Frames about the Game of the Year for 2023. To me, this was an easy choice, only picking up a few games this year. The one I was most excited for was Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. As just finishing Breath of the Wild, this was a perfect time to continue my journey. The day of release, I was up bright and early to be the first human to get my hands on a copy of the game. I wasn't the first, but I was definitely the second to enter the store, after waiting an hour in anticipation. I got my collector's edition and all the amiibos. Let's go see them right now! And there is your Tears of the Kingdom link. And I quickly dropped back home, and off I was again to get my partner's copy, as he had unfortunately come down with COVID. COVID? Or just an excuse to play the game? I went to his local EB and got his Zelda Switch, collector's edition and all of his amiibos, and some tasty wings. The anticipation to crack open the collector's edition and shove that game in the slot and boot up the game. There's 3 worlds to this game: Sky, Surface, and Depths. You start in the sky, and honestly, at the start of my journey, this was annoying me, as I was overpowering the boat and it kept drifting away from me, leaving me with less and less resources to make anything. As I continued my journey through the sky and surface, I became more aware of my building abilities. The Depths, however, was a different story. The first time I entered the Depths, I remember playing Switch in the lounge room on the couch in handheld mode late one night, and it was pouring with rain. As I entered the darkness, the music changed and I could only anticipate what was to come. As a hand came out from nowhere to eat me alive, it felt like there was a real hand ready to strangle me to my death. The abilities have increased vastly from Breath of the Wild, with the introduction of moves like Ultra Hand and Fuse. And trust me, we've all fused some dumb shit together just to beat a construct. Talking constructs, they're like a cool beepity boop robots. What's not to love? With the addition of Addison, the pole-bearing boy, and our favorite old faithful Beetle, the game is overall just a lot of fun and is a world-opening expedition, letting you create whatever you imagine. Official, unofficial, gamer Angela, I'm out.
Hey y'all, it's me, Crimsonrosso. You may know me as that one guy from that thing. You know the one. And I was invited to join this to talk about my favorite game of 2023. And that is without a doubt the RPG known as Ryza 3. Now, I've been a big fan of the Ryza franchise ever since I played the first game a while back. And I had been awaiting the release of 3 for a good long minute. And once I got my hands on it, I just couldn't put it down. Everything about this game was just so damn incredible, from its beautiful as all hell graphics to its stellar as fuck characters. Some of course were the main man boss himself, the adorably lovable Claudia, and of course the main girl herself, Ryza. Its fantastic feeling of finality, and most of all, its insanely addictive alchemy in combat. I can't really remember the last time a game I played had left me this satisfied. Honestly, just talking about it makes me want to revisit it again. Maybe I'll go do that right now. But before I do, I want to take a minute to thank Frames for letting me join on this collab, and for everyone else for letting me have a spot. Genuinely appreciate all of you for that. Well, that's all from me. I gotta go do that thing. Yeah, you know, you get that, right? Thank you once again for having me, Frame, and I'll see you all later.
What's going on, everyone? It's TheMadBelmont here. Thank you so much to Frames for having me on for this video. So when it came to 2023 games and what the best one I played was for this year, this game actually helped me get out of a huge gaming funk. For a good portion of the year, I was struggling when it came to playing video games. I just was not playing all that many, and I just really didn't find the motivation to continue. I was more or less concerned about what was going on in the house, what was going on with YouTube, all that type of stuff. And then one game came along, and that game pulled me out of a funk. And now I am gaming more than ever. And that game is none other than Sea of Stars. I first played this around the beginning of September. Okay, it came out August 29th. I started playing it around the first week of September. And the reason why I say that is because one of my friends got a backer code. Okay, he was a backer for the game, and he got a code. Now, he's one of these, you know, physical or nothing peeps. So when he got this digital code, he was, you know, basically first come, first serve. Whoever wants this code can get it. And of course, as soon as I seen that opportunity, I jumped on it. And boy, am I ever glad I did, because it literally pulled me out of the biggest gaming funk I have ever been in. And the reason for that is because the game is just so good. The combat is amazing. It's turn-based. It has an isometric point of view. And, you know, it kind of feels like Chrono Trigger and Super Mario RPG, but it doesn't quite feel like those two. Nothing can, honestly, except those games. But it's the closest thing to a sequel to Chrono Trigger that we will ever get. Okay, unless Square decides to, you know, actually throw us a bone, but, you know, anyway. So, I love the gameplay, I love the characters, I love the story. Everything about this game is phenomenal. And if you have not played this game and you're a fan of RPGs, and you're looking for one with more of a retro style feel and style to it, definitely check this one out. This one's definitely worth a look for sure. Thank you so much again to Frames for inviting me on for this video. I hope you all have a very happy, very prosperous new year, and I'll see you in the next one, my fellow Belmonts.
I played Jetset Raido for the first time in high school once the remastered version was released, and I instantly fell in love with it. From the music to the character designs, the game sunk its claws into me and has never let go. Unbeknownst to me, at the same time, I also played a little indie fighter called Lethal League. Years later, this same team would make a love letter to Jetset Raido with Bomb Rush Cyberfunk. What more can I say? I can sum up this game as Jetset Raido, but made in 2023, and that would be enough to sell anyone familiar with the series. The true beauty for me is how much soul is poured into this game. You're into these labyrinthian shopping malls and downtown centers and just wonder, how the hell am I even gonna get there? Only for 30 minutes later, the entire map is memorized as you skate around the best soundtrack I've ever heard in the game. Bomb Rush Cyberfunk adds to this legacy with a surprisingly engaging story, smart level design, and intuitive controls that immediately feel good to play. Just like the myriad of PS1 inspired games, Bomb Rush Cyberfunk captures what made the Dreamcast, the PlayStation 2 era of games nostalgic to Zoomers like me. That simple to learn, hard to master playstyle infused with a soul that will go on to infect a new generation of gamers with the same feelings Jetset Raido gave to me. Even after beating this game, I've come back with the introduction of the multiplayer mod to skate and dance around with other diehard fans, with dynamic score attacks, dance crew battles, and impromptu ciphers going around. Somehow this mod elevates this game further to becoming a hangout spot for me and others who try to perfect our 15 million point combos and find secrets still undiscovered together. I have a smile on my face every time I boot this game up, and the most fun gaming moment I had was trying to kick a basketball into a hoop for an hour straight, and that alone is why Bomb Rush Cyberfunk is my game of the year.
Crack-a-lackin', folks! I am ThePlatinumJack, and I'm here today to talk to you about my game of the year for 2023. But before I do that, I would like to thank Pat very much for having me on for another one of these videos. My game of the year for 2023, it's going to be no surprise to anybody, but it is Like a Dragon Gaiden, the newest, well, most recent release in the Yakuza series, because we have Infinite Wealth now out this month, which I cannot wait for. So, Like a Dragon Gaiden, what can I say about it? Well, what can't I say about it? It is an absolute masterpiece from start to finish. The combat, the story, the music, absolutely everything is top-notch quality, and even the story continuation on for Kiryu, because of the fact that we didn't get to see him in Like a Dragon. Well, we did, but we didn't get to play as him, and well, after playing 7 games before that as Kiryu, it got a bit strange not playing as him. Even though I know there's technically 8 games before that one, but most people don't really talk too much about Dead Souls, so we won't talk about Dead Souls. But honestly, Like a Dragon Gaiden, game of the year for 2023 for me. Now, I want to gush so much about the story, so much, but sadly I'm not going to, because I'm one of those people that no matter how much I love something and as much as I'd like to get other people into it, I will try and avoid spoilers as much as I can. Now, saying that, one of my friends did actually get a lot of late night text messages once again while I was playing Like a Dragon Gaiden, because I'm constantly coming up with theories and coming up with ideas and where the story could be going, and well, it didn't go the way I thought it would go. I'm not gonna lie. I thought a good guy was actually going to be a good guy, but no, he ended up being a bad guy, and the person I thought was going to be a bad guy ended up being a good guy. So I was like, what are you doing, Yakuza? You're complete, well, not Yakuza, sorry, or GG Studios, what are you doing? You're completely twisting it on its head on me. Now, just because I won't talk about the story of the game doesn't mean I won't talk about other things that I thought were fantastic. We have style changing back for battles. I was so happy to be able to swap between styles in battle again, and well, at first I wasn't too fond of the agent style, which is the first style you get in this game, and I'm not gonna lie, it was very weak at first. Don't get me wrong, there was some cool combos you could do with it, there was some cool equipment you got for it, but I just could not get the proper knack of it. I was missing that hard-hitting, just absolutely ploughing into everything Dragon of Dojima style that Kiryu had become known for. Luckily, we do unlock that later on in the game, and when I unlocked it, I did not touch Agent style, I'd say, until close to the end of the game when I needed to use it to get more trophies. But honestly, once I actually upgraded it a bit more and the game actually got a bit more into it, the Agent style actually got a lot better. You get more equipment for it, you get more moves for it, it's overall crowd control was absolutely fantastic. Whereas with the Dragon of Dojima style, that was definitely more suited towards more single enemies or, in a lot of cases, bosses. Except for Imon, but we won't go too much into detail about the secret boss in this one. I will let people who enjoy the Yakuza series or the Like a Dragon series, depending on which way you like to call it these days, I will let you figure out how bad Amon is for yourself, because, well, all I'll say is it's definitely one of the tougher Amon fights. Zero is still the hardest in my opinion, but this one is definitely up there. Well, now that we've talked about the combat a little bit, let's move on to the music. And my god, the one thing RGG never misses is the music. But all I will say is the final boss theme, A Fleeting Dream, is up there personally with Ryuji's theme from Kiwami 2, because honestly, just check it out. I would highly recommend checking it out. And the little intro bit before it, there's a little classical bit before that plays just before the last boss theme, and it fits it perfectly. Absolutely perfectly. Only problem I will say is, be careful if you do go and listen to it, because there is a lot of spoilers going around whenever you look it up, because a lot of people have put up the song with the boss fighting the background. And while you don't need to have the final boss in the Yakuza game spoiled on you, because a lot of the time, it's never who you expect. Ever. So at this point, I know I've gone on about the combat a little bit, and I know I've gone on about the music a little bit, but we're going to leave it off on this one with the story a little bit, and the characters themselves. It is easily one of RGG Studios' best written stories. With the Game Awards last year, it was an absolute criminal offence that Takeya Kuroda did not get a nomination at least for his portrayal of Kiryu in that game, because the ending of that game left me curled up in a sobbing heap on the floor. Well, not literally, but I came very close to it. And to anybody who might know me, who's watching this video, all I'll say is it left me in the same way that Clannad After Story left me. And if you've seen Clannad After Story, well, you might understand on why I was crying as much as I was. Honestly, guys, if you haven't played the Yakuza series, it's not a good starting point to go for Gaiden. But honestly, at the same time, I'd nearly say I wouldn't care, because it's such a damn great story to it. Such a good damn story. I would highly, highly recommend giving it a try at some stage or another. Even if you end up looking up the stories of each of the games, just make sure you look up the Gaiden bit then as well, because that ending will absolutely cripple anyone who watches it. Trust me, it is heartbreaking. Honestly though, I think I'm going to leave it there, because in the eternal worlds of the Allman Brothers Band, I am a rambling man, and if I stay here, I will continue to ramble on about more about the game without spoiling anything, so it will be just basically the ramblings of a mad fan, so it would be. But I'll leave it with this. Play Yakuza. They're a fantastic series, and if you really need to be driven home on the idea of it, I only started them last year, and they have got me as a lifelong fan now, because they are just that damn good. And with that, I'd like to thank Pat for having me on his Game of the Year 2023 video and allowing me to ramble on about Like a Dragon Gaiden. I'm off to go and work on my next Platinum before Infinite Web comes out in a couple of weeks' time. I am ThePlatinumJack, and I hope to catch you in the next video. See you later.
And that's a wrap. My god, what a year for games in 2023, and there's still loads we didn't get to cover in this video. And I would love to hear what you guys had as your game of the year. Let us know in the comment section down below. Always up to talk games with people. And I cannot thank my friends enough for coming on and sharing their games of 2023. I cannot get over how fun it is to always see their picks and why this game is amazing. So be sure to go check out these guys. They make some of the best content you can find out there. And that's not an overstatement. They are just that good. Well, until next time friends, take her handy.